this is the second part of the tutorial. I'll be showing us how I sew this. Welcome back to my channel. To all our subscribers, welcome. If it's your first time, you're also welcome. And if this video is really useful, please don't forget to like, and if you have any question, leave it in the comment box. So we're going to start the sewing from the crop top part, and I've gone ahead to cut out my lining, just that I minus about 1 inch from the length of the lining, and I'll go ahead and stitch it together. Remember, I added that when I was cutting it out so that I can fold it up on the lining. So I'll proceed by first stitching the neck side, and this is how I'm just stitching it straight, placing the lining on the fabric, making the right side face the right side of the lining. Then after I'm done stitching the neck, I'll open it up exactly the way you're seeing, and I'm going to stop stitch it and stitch it round just to hold up the lining, and it won't be coming up on the neck part. So after I'm done doing that, I'll just align my dress exactly the way you're seeing, align it very well. In the same part, folding it, making right side face right side, I'll just flip my fabric also to the down part, and I'll stitch the down part. Remember, the main length of the fabric is longer than the lining, but when I'm stitching it, I'll make it equal exactly the way you're seeing, and after stitching it, I'll still open it up and sub stitch exactly the way I did for the front, for the neck part, just to hold up the lining so that it won't be puffing up or out. It will be stable on the down part, both for the neck and the down part, exactly the way I did for the neck. So after I'm done doing this, I'll fold my fabric exactly the way I've been doing it, making the front parts of the fabric face the front parts of the lining, just exactly the way I did for the neck. Then I'll stitch the two sides together. So now this is exactly what I'm doing, stitching the two sides. Just ensure your lining are all aligned with your fabric, then stitch it again. Don't worry about where we are going to turn it out. We are going to turn it out from the armhole area, so there's a space for us to turn it out. Don't be bothered. So after I'm done, you can see exactly what I have. After I'm done stitching the two sides, the neck and the down part. So this is the armhole part. So I'm going to put my hand deep into the clothes now, bring it, turn it inside out, and I will exactly that's what I'm doing right now. And I will just align the clothes very well. At this point, I'll take it to my iron pressing table and press it well and ensure everything is standing well. You can see the armhole of the two armhole are all open. I did the same thing for the back side too, exactly what I have. I will also turn it out from the armhole part exactly. Please like this video so YouTube will recommend it to other persons that might need this kind of video. Thank you. And if you don't get any parts, don't hesitate to leave it in the comment box below. Thank you. So still with the back parts of the crop top, so I have my zipper. I'm going to be fixing it. This zipper is actually optional, depends on how wide you want your crop top to be. If it's very wide that you can wear it without putting zipper, then go ahead and do that, and don't bother putting zipper allowance. So at this point, I already put my zipper, you can see exactly. And if I open it up, remember it has a part that you can open up, so you start sewing from that part. The excess that remain should be on the next side, then you are going to cut it up after you fold it in. So you can see now, at this point now, I'm going to be taking the measurement of my bust divide by 2, that is the circumference of my bust divide by 2 at this time, no more divide by 4. So I'm going to take that. Then on the waist, I'll also take the measurement I took while measuring it. I'll divide it by 2 this time around. I'll divide by 2 and I'll mark it on the waist and connect the two lines together. Please note this, when you're taking measurements for this, I already said it depends on how wide you want yours to be. Do justice to that when you are taking your measurements. So I will connect this line together, and in this same way I'll take it to my stitching machine now and just connect it with the back parts. But before I do that, I'm going to be showing us how I stitch the shoulder together, making it closed. So you can see I grabbed the front part of the shoulder, then I open up the back parts, I put the fabric parts, lay it on the front parts, then I use the lining to turn it closely like this flip the lining to the lining part of the front part. Just exactly, you can just take this, you can slow it down to get it. And I did it again the second way. I add the front part first, then I open up the back part. Remember that back part has zipper, and I make sure the Ankara fabric is joining with the shoulder of the front part. Then I use the shoulder, the lining, flip it to the back to cover up. Then I will take it like this and just stitch it. And after I'm done stitching, you can see, then I'll trim out the excess that I have inside. Then I'm going to be turning it way. And guys, turning it now, you can see exactly what we have now. Everything is closed, both the lining inside and the outside. You can see exactly, and the neck is perfectly sewn. You can see now. I'll do the same thing to the second part of the shoulder. You can see exactly. Just ensure you get this right so that you not have some parts bigger than the other. So at this point, I will stitch both the front and the back together with the line already drew on the fabric. Now let's move to the sleeve parts of this. So while I was sewing my sleeve, I noticed that if I should use this 7, the length I use is going to be too pointed, so I reduce about 2 inches from it. Then I just place my lining on it and I stitch it straight exactly. But I started the stitching from the down part. So I first stitch the down part, connect the down part. Remember the down part is the part that have a kind of V or triangular shape. So I first stitch it. After I'm done, I open it up, I stop stitch just to hold the fabric, the lining tight at the down part of my fabric, and it won't be showing. You can see how I open it up and I'm stop stitching on the lining, please, not on the main fabric, so that it won't be showing. Then after I'm done doing that, I just flip it, making the right side of the fabric face the right side of the lining, and I stitch the sides, the 2 sides together. And after I'm done, this is exactly what I have now. So I'm going to be opening up, bringing it, turning it inside out, putting my hand on the other parts and bringing it out. Then look for a sharp stuff to open it, to bring out the pointed mouth. Remember guys, after I'm done doing this, I noticed the mouth was too pointed, so I went ahead to just remove about 2 inches allowance. So at this other part of the sleeve, which is going to be entering the armhole, I will just go ahead and close it up, and you can see exactly. So after closing it up, I have the sleeve again. So at this point, before I fix it on the armhole, I'm going to be taking my circumference, the round sleeve measurement. Remember, the sleeve from the shoulder to the about 11 inches downward of my sleeve is a bit tight. And remember, when we were cutting this, I took the measurements here. So exactly, I'm taking the round sleeve of that part. Remember, from my shoulder to about 11 inches downward of my arm is 11 inches. So I took the round sleeve there, and this is what I mark there, and I'm connecting it up, also connecting it down. So for the down part, this is a V-like shape. You don't need measurement, just take it straight down. Then after I'm done doing that, and I'm done also with the cropped up parts, I'll turn it inside out. So exactly the way you're seeing it now. So I will lay it down very well. Then this is my sleeve. I'm going to introduce the sleeve now. I like connecting my sleeve first before I take the full measurement, but I just showed us so that you know exactly what I'm going to sew when I'm sewing it. So I'll first connect my sleeve, connecting from the shoulder, the armhole part, and this is exactly what I'm doing with the machine also. So I'm just connecting the sleeve first before I'm going to be taking the right measurement. Remember, I already used my chalk to mark it out, so it will be easier for me to know exactly where to place, where to sew while sewing the sleeve especially. So you can see exactly that's what I'm doing right now, and I'll fix the sleeve now on the crop top. I'll open up the zipper so that it's going to be easier for me to just stitch together. Please take note of this. Remember when I said when I was cutting the sleeve, I made it 27, but when I was sewing it, I discovered the length was it's too pointed for my liking. Like, I don't really like it, so I just removed about 2 inches from that slant. So at this point, I'm just sewing the sketch already have drew on the sleeve Okay, let's move to the skirt part. This is very simple. I have my skirt cut. You can check the video again. So I already have the lining also cut. Remember, I added 2 inches when I was cutting the skirt, additional 2 inches for the length that I'm going to use that to fold up for the lining. So I've cut out the lining minusing that 2 inches. So I'll place it exactly the way you just see now. Place it on my fabric and I will start stitching it. So I started from the down part. I just stitch it straight, and after I'm done stitching it straight, I open it up again exactly the way I do when I want to stop stitch. So I'm opening it up. I will allow the excess that is inside to go to the lining part, and I will stop stitch it on top of the lining. You can see exactly where I'm sewing on top of the lining, not on top of the main fabric. And after I'm done, I'll just fold it up. Remember, I added 2 inches allowance, which is the one I'm folding up. So that is the excess of me adding that 2 inches on the main fabric when I was cutting it. Then I'll sew the sides together. This is the side I'm sewing together. Also turn to the second side and stitch the second side together also. At this point, I'll just cut all the excesses I have to avoid my skirt puffing up from inside. So you can see, so I have the waist part open. From there, I will turn it inside out. Just before I close up the waist part, I will take it to my iron and press it down very well so that everything will be aligned before I stitch it. You can see now I just brought it to the table to show us exactly what I have, and I'll go ahead and just iron it so that it's going to come out. And all those inside, those ones that are still folding in, I'll stitch it, I'll iron it well. Exactly the same thing I did to the down part, the back part. I also stitch it. Remember, the back part is going to be in 2 because there's going to be zipper in between. So I also did the same thing I did for the front, and this is what I have. I'll iron it before I stitch the waist part, close up the waist part. And after I'm done, you can see what I have, closing up the waist part, removing the excesses. I have this now for both the front part of the skirt and the back part. And then for the front parts, I'm going to be taking the measurements. Guys, I omitted the dart part where I put the dart. Please don't forget to do that. So on the waistline, I take the waist measurement divided by 2. I marked it, and going down 10 inches to mark out my hip line. I told you going down from your waist could be 8, could be 9, could be 10, depends. You can take the measurements. For the beginners, just capture that when you are taking your measurements. So I also divide my hip by 2. I marked it. Then for the down part, I just marked what I have on the hip, and I remove about 1 inch, just 1 inch, to get the down part of my skirt. Don't forget, I minus 1 inch from what I marked for the hip line to get the down part of my skirt. Then for the back part of the skirt, I also went ahead to just stitch that zipper side together, because at this point I've not yet fixed the zipper. So I just put a gather stitching that is not that strong, and I went ahead to place the front on the back parts, and I just stitch the sides together. Since the stitches I put on the zipper side is not that strong, so I'll just open it up at this point, and I'll bring in the waistband. I'll bring in the band. So I already did it already. I showed us in the first part how I cut this. So remember, I just need about 2 inches, so I'll place it, and what I have here is more than 2 inches, so I'll just place it and stitch it straight, ensuring what I'm stitching is about 2 inches. Guys, if you don't want to go through this race, just ensure your belt is just at least 2.5 inches, so that I can stitch with that half. You can cut it off. And what I have now, I just cut off the excesses. You can see exactly what I have after I'm done stitching it together. So remember, I haven't put the zipper allowance, and I didn't put the zipper because I wanted to put the band first, so that the zipper will go on top of the band also. And right there is the zipper I'm going to be using for this. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.